Yeah. Yes, Mataji. I hope everyone understood also. Sorry for that. Next time I will make it
No,
easy.
Mataji, you are very fast in doing it. You memorized it very nicely. Very well.
Hari Bol. Thank you, Mataji, for making me to memorize that. It's because all of you. Hare Krishna, Mitangandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call, and thank you for all your services on Kisanga. And thank you to Balagrinda also for that poem. I think I saw the poem just half an hour before. I think she recited on kids Zoom.
Mataji, thank you.
Anyone else would like to introduce?
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji, your voice, Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajis. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from Raleigh. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I
Pranam,
want
Srila
to welcome all of you to this Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Someone is there?
Hare Krishna. This is Valli. Hare Krishna. Danvat Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I once again welcome all of you to this Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. So today we will be moving on to our next session, that is Srimad Bhagavatam, which will be given by His Grace Mahabhagavat Prabhu. But before moving on to the session, I would like to read the introduction of Prabhuji. His Grace Mahabhagavat Prabhu, though born in a Madhva Vaishnava family, was drawn to atheism in his childhood. While he started reading Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, just to find faults in it, this book had a profound impact on his life and clarified a lot of his misunderstandings. He met his spiritual master, His Grace Sriman Sankarshan Prabhu Adhikar, Sankarshan Das Adhikari in 2004, but it was only after several years of intense discourses and answers to over 600 questions, he was initiated in 2011 at ISKCON Austin, Texas, and then received his second initiation in 2013 at ISKCON Kaunas, Lithuania. Today, he extensively preaches from all of Srila Prabhupada's books. His primary services are Sankirtan, book distribution, teaching, mentoring, cooking, and deity worship. He speaks English, Kannada, Marathi, Hindi, and Telugu, and has a basic understanding of Sanskrit and German. He pursued a PhD in machine learning and computational linguistics in Toronto. But this coincided with his increasing interest in bhakti, and had to choose between the umpteen research papers and the works of Srila Prabhupada. He currently works in corporate world as a chief technology officer at an insurance company. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving us your valuable time and association. And Hare Krishna, dear devotees, I once again thank all of you for joining the call. And today the verses are from Canto 7, Chapter 15, verses from 7 to 9. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Can everybody hear me clearly?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Jaya. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavalla Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Rajajana Rajana Yashodanandana Rajajana Rajana Yashodanandana Rajajana Rajana यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरा वनचारि यमुनातीरावनचारि जय राधा माधवा जय कुञ्ज विहारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुञ्ज विहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुञ्ज विहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुञ्ज विहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम राम हरे जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद शिला प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद शिला प्रभुपाद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यो च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for having me on your group here today, and thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for spreading the hearing and chanting the glories of Shri Krishna all over the world in every possible format. Thank you for your time and attention. To all of those who are organizing, thank you very much for your effort, because to make anything like this happen is extremely difficult, and it takes a lot of coordination and a lot of planning, a lot of thoughtful, careful work behind the scenes to make this happen. So I'm very grateful to all of you. Thank you very much. Today we'll be reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, the 15th chapter, the last chapter of this canto, and verses 7 to 9. The chapter is titled Instructions for Civilized Human Beings. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshvahadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So we'll start with 7, 8, and 9. There are 3 verses today because two of the verses 7 and 8 don't have a purport. In those verses, the translation is the purport by Srila Prabhupada, and then the tradition is that we usually pause at the point where Srila Prabhupada has mentioned a purport, written a purport, and then we try to discuss that a little bit deeper. Okay, so we'll start that. So we won't chant this. I will just chant it very quickly, and then we won't do the word by word, etc., until we get to verse number 9. Nadadhyadamisham shraddhena chadyad dharma tattvavit munyanyaihi syat parapritir yatha na pashuhim saya. A person fully aware of religious principles should never offer anything like meat, eggs, or fish in the Shraddha ceremony. And even if one is a Kshatriya, he himself should not eat such things. When suitable food prepared with ghee is offered to saintly persons, the function is pleasing to the forefathers and the Supreme Lord, who are never pleased when animals are killed in the name of sacrifice. The next verse, 7:15:8. Naitadrisha paro dharmo nrinam saddharmamichhatam nyaso dandasya bhuteshu manovakayajasya yah. Persons who want to advance in superior religion, please note the translation. Persons who want to advance in superior religion are advised to give up all envy of other living entities, whether in relationship to the body, words, or mind. There is no religion superior to this. I will repeat that translation once more. Persons who want to advance in superior religion are advised to give up all envy of other living entities, whether in relationship to the body, words, or mind. There is no religion superior to this. The next verse, we'll chant this verse. You can keep yourself on mute and chant along if you like. Just that we cannot coordinate the chanting on Zoom properly. 7:15:9. Eke karma mayan yajnan jnanino yajna vittamah atma samyamane niha juhvati jnana dipite. Eke karma mayan yajnan jnanino yajna vittamah atma samyamane niha juhvati jnana dipite. Eke karma mayan yajnan jnanino yajna vittamah atma samyamane niha juhvati jnana dipite. The synonyms of the words: eke, some; karma mayan, resulting in a reaction, such as the killing of animals; yajnan, sacrifices; jnaninaha, persons advanced in knowledge; yajnavittamaha, who know perfectly well the purpose of sacrifice; atma samyamane, by self-control; aniha, who are without material desires; juhvati, execute sacrifice; jnana dipite, enlightened in perfect knowledge. The translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Because of an awakening of spiritual knowledge, those who are intelligent in regard to sacrifice, who are actually aware of religious principles, and who are free from material desires, control the self in the fire of spiritual knowledge or knowledge of the absolute truth. They may give up the process of ritualistic ceremonies. I'll read the translation again. Because of an awakening of spiritual knowledge, those who are intelligent in regard to sacrifice, who are actually aware of religious principles, and who are free from material desires, control the self in the fire of spiritual knowledge or knowledge of the absolute truth. They may give up the process of ritualistic ceremonies. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. People are generally very much interested in karma kanda ritualistic ceremonies for elevation to the higher planetary systems. But when one awakens his spiritual knowledge, he becomes uninterested in such elevation and engages himself fully in jnana yajna to find the objective of life. The objective of life is to stop completely the miseries of birth and death and to return home back to Godhead. When one cultivates knowledge for this purpose, he is considered to be on a higher platform than one who is engaged in karma yajna or fruitive activities. I'll just read the translations of the three verses just so we can keep them in mind while we are discussing further. Seventh one is a person fully aware of religious principles should never offer anything like meat, eggs, or fish in the Shraddha ceremony. And even if one is a Kshatriya, he himself should not eat such things. When suitable food prepared with ghee is offered to saintly persons, the function is pleasing to the forefathers and the Supreme Lord, who are never pleased when animals are killed in the name of sacrifice. The next one is persons who want to advance in superior religion are advised to give up all envy of other living entities, whether in relationship to the body, words, or mind. There is no religion superior to this. And the next one is because of an awakening of spiritual knowledge, those who are intelligent in regard to sacrifice, who are actually aware of religious principles, and who are free from material desires, control the self in the fire of spiritual knowledge or knowledge of the absolute truth, they may give up the process of ritualistic ceremonies. I'll make a brief prayer and beg for the blessings of all the Vaishnavas, past, present, and future, who are all always engaged in the hearing and chanting of the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapatakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Tadvaitam Savadutam Varijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahamana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenamando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we recently celebrated the appearance day of Sri Advaita Acharya. We're going to celebrate the appearance of Nityananda Prabhu and soon the appearance day of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's a great festival time. And I'm praying that we can all, with our thoughts, words, and deeds, give pleasure to these great personalities who have come to save us and sent so many of their devotees to us. I'm also grateful to you for your time and attention, and I pray that whatever I say may be helpful and beneficial. So if you look at these verses, we see how the lifestyle that we follow in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is so amazing. We see how it is that we can fulfill all the instructions given in all the scriptures just by following the process given to us by Srila Prabhupada. So what do devotees in the Hare Krishna movement do? What do devotees in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness do? They follow the 4 regulative principles: no meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, and no gambling. These 4 regulative principles alone, Srila Prabhupada says, saves us from so much trouble. We cannot actually imagine how much further we are just by trying to follow these 4 regulative principles. Even just by trying to follow it, what to speak of somebody who actually follows. And then we chant Hare Krishna. We read the Srimad Bhagavatam. We perform deity worship in the temples and in our homes. We distribute transcendental literature. We are constantly surrounded with Krishna Katha. We take only Krishna Prasad. Right? So we are very, very fortunate in many regards. So all of these verses should confirm and strengthen our faith in the following of the process given to us by Srila Prabhupada in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON. So I want to focus on one of the phrases that was mentioned in one of the translations, which is envy of the living entities. So if you look at the translation of verse number 715.8, persons who want to advance in superior religion are advised to give up all envy of other living entities, whether in relationship to the body, words, or mind. I've heard many classes. Vaisheshika Prabhu says that the spiritual world is characterized by self-sacrifice, by trying to undergo some kind of difficulty so that somebody else might be benefited from that service. Okay, of course, in the spiritual world there is no kunta, there is no difficulty. So somebody who is naturally that consciousness is able to enter the spiritual realm. They take trouble, they take time to serve other devotees in relation to Krishna and serve Krishna directly and indirectly. Such devotees are able to enter the spiritual realm. But in the material world, it's exact opposite. The material world is you die so I can live. So if you look at everything, like just the basic act of eating, right? In order for us to eat, whether we eat, whether we drink water or any other juices or whatever, even if we just breathe, which is all essential for us to live in the material world, isn't it? You cannot live without breathing. You cannot live without drinking water and other liquids that we require for the sustenance of our bodies. And we cannot live without eating. So, but all of these three things involve killing. Like when I breathe in, millions of germs are entering into all the different membranes of the body and meeting their death, right? So if I am not breathing so that I can chant Krishna's names, then my breath is a cause of karmic reactions. If I'm not drinking water just so I can keep myself healthy, if I'm not eating food that is first offered in sacrifice to Krishna, then within the water, within the food, there are so many living entities. Every grain of rice is a living entity. So we have to keep that very carefully, is that if we are not following Krishna consciousness principles, the principles of Krishna consciousness, then we are actually exhibiting envy of other living entities. You die, so I can live. Okay, remember that. You die, so I can live. If we look at the title of this chapter, it mentions civilized human beings. Okay, not all human beings. These instructions are meant for civilized human beings. Okay, not for animals in human form, but for humans in human form. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada quotes a very beautiful verse that actually illustrates. It's not a verse from the Shastra, but it's from the Hitopanishad. Hitopadesha. And Srila Prabhupada says, he describes this as follows. What is the difference between a human being and an animal in human form? And he says, Murkhaya upadeshaya prakopaya na shantaye vayappanam bhujanganam kevalam vishavardhanam. So he says, if you give advice, good advice, sage advice, instruction to a fool, then that person will get angry with you. They will get angry. They will want to get into a fight. Right? Murkhaya upadeshaya prakopaya. Their anger will increase. Na shante. They will not get peaceful. Right? Why? It's similar to Payappanam bhujanganam kevalam vishavardhanam. So milk is a very pure food. Cow's milk is a very, very pure food. But if you give that same milk to a snake and the snake drinks that milk, then the result will be that the poison of the snake will increase. Right? So that's what the snake will do with that milk. So even though good advice from the scriptures, etc., is very pure food for thought, food for the consciousness, etc., when the envious person hears this advice, they get very angry. So we have to be careful when we are preaching to see the degree of envy of somebody. All of us are envious to some extent. We have to see how much somebody can accept and give them as much as they can accept. So the difference between a civilized human being and an uncivilized human being is that civilized human being will actually get peaceful when they receive good instruction. They will get very happy. Just one moment. I have an issue with my power. I'll just come back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I saw that my power cable was unplugged and the battery was down. So it was, it was important to plug it back in so I don't lose the class. Okay, so coming back to a peaceful, civilized human beings becomes peaceful when they get good advice. So in the same verse, persons who want to advance in superior religion are advised to give up envy of all other living entities, right? So whether in relation to the body, words, or mind, there is no religion superior to this. So when you give up envy, that is superior religion. So religious processes are designed for according to the person's level of advancement. So if somebody is on the level of animals, then there's a particular religious system for them. When somebody is on the level of a more polished animal, there's a particular system of religion for them, right? So, so if you look at the karmamayan yajnan, the words karmamayan yajnan, jnanino yajna vittamaha. So if you look at these words from this word by word translation, right? So it means anything that results in a reaction. That means that even though in religion might be there, a inferior religion will actually give you karmic reactions to activities. So sacrifices performed, such as animal sacrifices, etc., especially if they are not done with persons who are in the proper consciousness, will actually give us reactions, karmic reactions. Jnaninaha means a person who is knowledgeable, person who is advanced in knowledge. That means that they need to know the purpose of the sacrifice. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? So when we analyze all of the different sacrificial methods that are used, that are recommended in the scriptures, we see that, okay, what is the yajna that I can perform without incurring karmic reactions? And the only such thing is actually the Sankirtan Yajna. So in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, we focus on chanting of Sri Harinam because that is the only yajna that one can perform without any possibility of any karmic reactions in it, right? So it says Juvati Jnana Dipite. So they are people who execute sacrifices because they are enlightened in perfect knowledge. So Mataji, just so that all the devotees can follow along also, can you also please show the verses from the Bhagavad Gita 26, 27 and 28? We are looking only for the verses and the translations, not the purports. Okay, so this is Bhagavad Gita 4, 26, 27 and 28, right? So Sri Krishna is explaining in this 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he's explaining Shrotradrin Indriyanyanne Samyamagnishu Juvati Shabdadin Vishayan Anya Indriyagnishu Juvati. So Srila Prabhupada is describing what we all are meant to do. We all are meant to be unadulterated brahmacharis. In the translation, Srila Prabhupada says that the unadulterated, he says some, which is the unadulterated brahmacharis, they sacrifice Shrotradin Indriyanyanne. So they sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control. This means that they only hear and they only engage in that kind of sensuous activity which is completely controlled by the mind. And who are the others, the regulated householders? They sacrifice the objects of the senses in the fire of the senses. So in other words, we only make sure that whatever goes inside, whatever comes outside is completely Krishna conscious. Okay, so 427 actually is the next verse. These 3 verses are very related to the topic of today's class. And I always love to go back and connect everything back to the Bhagavad Gita, because then the understanding is very solid, right? The next one, Krishna says in that verse that Sarvani Indriyani, Sarvan Indriya Karmani, Prana Karmani Chapare, Atma Samyamya Yogagno, Juhvati Jnana Dipite. Note what was there in 7:15:9. It says Juhvati Jnana Dipite. And what is in 4:28? Juvati, 4:27, sorry, is Juvati Jnana Dipite. Same word, same phrase is used again, right? And Srila Prabhupada translates it slightly differently here. He says in this particular verse, he says, Jhuvati, which means offer, same. Jnanadipite, because of the urge for self-realization, a person who has understood the purpose of the sacrifice. So in the translation goes that those who are interested in self-realization through control of the mind and senses offer the functions of all the senses and of the life breath itself. I talked about how if you breathe not for Krishna, then you have karmic reactions, and the life breath has oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. Like you are putting swaha, swaha into the controlled mind. You are putting all the actions of the senses. And the next one is bringing it all together. Like 428, Krishna is saying, Dravya yajna stapo yajna, yoga yajna statha pare, swadhyaya jnana yajnascha yatah samshita vrataha. Right? 428, Krishna is saying, Dravya yajna stapo yajna, yoga yajna statha pare, yajnas statha pare, swadhyaya jnana yajnascha yatah samshita vrataha. So he's saying, Krishna is saying, and Srila Prabhupada is translated as follows, that having accepted strict vows, what are the vows? No meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, and no gambling. Some become enlightened by sacrificing their possessions. In other words, donating your wealth, your time to Krishna consciousness, and others by performing severe austerities. In this case, Srila Prabhupada has given us severe austerities of fasting on Ekadashi and Janmashtami and so on, right? By practicing the yoga of eightfold mysticism, Ashtanga Yoga, or by studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge. And actually, it's not required for us to study the Vedas because Vedascha sarvair aham vedyo. I'm pointing to myself, but I'm pointing to actually to Krishna, who is inside the heart. So Krishna is the one who is saying Vedascha sarvair aham vedyo. So if you know Krishna, if you're chanting Krishna's name, if you're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, if you're reading Srimad Bhagavad Gita, that is as good as or better than reading the Vedas, because at least you will not get distracted. You will not be, Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna, Nirdvandva Nitya Sattvasto, Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. Krishna says, don't get distracted by all of these flowery phrases from the Vedic literature. Nirdvandva Nitya Sattvasto. Become free of dualities, become situated in pure goodness, right? And become a pure Bhakti Yogi. And this is continued actually. Now, if you think about it, right? If you think about the Bhagavad Gita, the conversation of the Bhagavad Gita a little bit, you see that in the 6th chapter, Arjuna expresses a concern. He said, Krishna, what if I don't make it? What if I don't make it? This is a valid concern, right? Not for Arjuna, he's a pure devotee and he's an eternal associate of Krishna. But for someone like myself, it's a valid concern. What if I don't make it to pure devotional service? Because unless you're a pure devotee, this cycle of birth and death and material consciousness is not going to end. So what if I don't make it? What if something goes wrong? Krishna says, actually, he says, Krishna says that after a person, Shuchinam, Shrimatam Gehe, Yoga Vrashtu, Vijayate, etc., in that series of verses, I think it is 644, Mataji, 644. He says, Purvabhyasena tenaiva, Hriyate hi avashopi saha, Jidnyasurapi yogasya, Shabda Brahmati vartate. What he says, what Krishna is saying is, by virtue, if you read the translation, if you go to the translation, by virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. So Krishna is also saying that if you practice Bhakti Yoga, you will not be so attached to ritualistic principles. And if you start practicing Bhakti Yoga, your attachment, even if it might come from conditioning due to our family and other previous practices, that attachment will reduce. Why is that? Because, see, all of us, if you are not in spiritual consciousness, even if there's a 0.0001% material consciousness left, then we have to take birth. Right? Jatasya dhruva muttur, janma dhruvo janma mritasya cha, tasmad apariharyarthe natvam shochitum arasya. But the first part of the of that verse. I think it's in chapter 2. I think it is 227, Mataji. So if you go to 227, if you just change the URL there to 227, you will see the first half, Jatasya Dhruva Mrityur, Dhruvo Janma Mritasya cha. So a person who has died has to take birth, a person who has taken birth has to die, right? So if we have to do it, then might as well, Swalpamapyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. Do a little bit, as much as we can. One who has taken his birth is sure to die. After death, one is sure to take birth again, right? Therefore, if you are going to do that, then in this life, it is better to focus on Bhakti Yoga as much as possible, right? So, Srila Prabhupada has in many places, right? He has quoted bhajans of Srila Narottam Das Thakur, and one of the famous things that Srila Prabhupada quotes is Narottam Das Thakur singing Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Kevala Vishera Bhanda, Amrita Baliya Jeba Khaya, Nana Yoni Sada Phire, Kadarya Bhakshana Kare, Tara Janma Adha Pate Yai, which means that he's saying that Karma Kanda, or the activities of ritualistic fruitive activities, Jnana Kanda, mental speculative activities like neti and so on. He says Kevala Vishera Bhanda, which means they are only pots of poison. Karma Kanda is one kind of poison, Jnana Kanda is one kind of poison. Don't take it. Whoever takes it, Amrita Baliya Jeba Khai. So whoever thinks that, oh, this is very delicious nectar, this Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda, whoever eats Nana Yoni Sada Phire, he goes in different species, Nana Yoni, right? Why? Because if you kill an animal in sacrifice, you have to be born as that animal. Mamsa means Mamsa Khadati, right? For example, so if I kill an animal in sacrifice, that animal is eligible to kill me in the next life, right? And what you eat in the animal forms, Kadarya Bhakshana Kare. Kadarya means like refuse, waste material. Kadarya Bhakshana Kare, Tar Janma Adha Pate Yai. So Srila Prabhupada says that we are struggling very hard, and if we get into fruitive activity, that makes us struggle more. If you get into mental speculation, that makes us struggle more. Just simply get a different kind of body. We eat all kinds of terrible things, kadarya, and we are just condemned by the activities of sense enjoyment. So Srila Prabhupada in that particular purport where he quotes that says, if you want to make progress in life, you have to give up the ways of karma kanda. Give up this, come back to 759, right? Eke karmamayan yajnan jnanino yajna vittamaha atma samyamane neha juvati jnana dipite. So if you want to stop this, if you are actually want to progress in life, then you karma kanda, etc. And there are many examples. Okay, so I'm looking at the time. Okay, we have some time. Bharat Maharaj, for example, is an example, right? He had his first birth. He was very expert in karma kanda rituals, right? He was a king. He gave much charity, and then in his life, later on in his life, he got distracted by a deer, so he got born as a deer. But he could, because of his advanced spiritual consciousness, he was able to remember that I was Bharat Maharaj, and now I am a deer, Bharat as a deer, right? And then in the next lifetime, he took birth in a pious Brahmin family, right? Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe, Yoga Bhrashto Vijayate. He took birth as in a pious Brahmin family, but he still remembered, I was Maharaj Bharat, I became a deer, now I'm in this Brahmin family, now my father is going to teach me all the Karma Kanda rituals. So he pretended to be a fool. He pretended to be Jada Bharat. That's why it's called as Jada Bharat. But if you look at, he was not at all Jada. He was completely on the highest transcendental platform. We cannot compare ourselves to the great Maharaj Bharat, but still it's an example. It's a lesson. Shukadev Goswami was another such example, right? He remained in the womb of his mother until he was 16 years old. He did not want to come out because he was worried about what is that Bengali bhajan? Something after Janma, Maya ne ghera. Like there's some.
बोलिए तुम्हारे प्रभु. भूलिया तुम्हारे संसारे आसिया.
No, not that one, not that one. But anyways, not. But there's a version that says that the moment you come out of your body, my Guru Maharaj says, the moment you come out of your body, you come out of your mother's womb, right? What do they say? They slap a label on you. It's a boy. It's a girl, right? Oh, look, she's so cute. Look, he's so beautiful, smart. Like whatever different kinds of labels start getting attached to us. We are smart, we are beautiful, we are like this. We are intelligent, we are so many different kinds of labels start getting attached to us right from our birth. So Shukadev Goswami did not want to have such labels. So he was wondering how I don't want to come out. And he stayed inside until he came out and he was walking away. He took sannyas right away, right after his birth. So his father, Srila Vyasadev, wanted to teach him, but Shukadev Goswami did not want to learn anything. You see, Shukadev Goswami, you don't see him even wearing a sacred thread, but Vyasadev then attracted him by sending his disciples in a different direction, chanting the verses of the Bhagavatam. So when he heard the verse, Aho Vakiyam Stanakala Kutam, describing the interactions of Sri Krishna with even people who have come to kill him, such as Putana, he was attracted to come back and hear the Bhagavatam from his father. So we have the example of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, like Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye, right? For his food, he was so unattached that he would eat, the clay from the river bank, from the Ganga. We cannot imitate all of these things, but we are meant to follow in their footsteps, in the sense that we are meant to take at least only Krishna Prasad, right? If you take our own spiritual masters, like think about all of our spiritual masters, they are so talented, isn't it? They are wonderful. Many of them are wonderful musicians. They're wonderful scholars. They are so well organized. They're great managers, right? If you take all of the great CEOs of the world, most of our spiritual masters will completely defeat them, right, in terms of their ability to organize, because they are organizing a spiritual movement in the material world, which is extremely difficult. So they would beat all the CEOs, hands down, no problem. Each of the spiritual masters in the International Society of Krishna Consciousness is of that caliber. What to speak of spiritual masters? The assistants of the spiritual masters can beat the CEOs, but they're not interested in material life. So they're interested in spiritual life. So if you look at that, they don't actually care for any karma kanda, right? They don't actually care for fire sacrifice for this, fire sacrifice for that, this kind of ritual, that kind of vrata, this kind of fasting for this demigod, all of these karma kanda rituals, they don't care about, right? So in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is actually warning us, including those of us who are in ISKCON, who are in International Society for Krishna Consciousness. People are generally very much interested in karma kanda ritualistic ceremonies for elevation to the higher planetary systems. So we have to be careful not to get into that. Like the scriptures provide so many benefits to somebody who is doing a particular activity. Like somebody, does some kind of charity, they get it back 1,000 times or whatever. These kinds of things are enjoined in the scriptures. They are given to us, but we are not meant to be in that kind of consciousness. We do it because it is transcendental and it's meant to be done. So we have to be very careful of karma kandiya vichar, karma kandiya thought, karma kandiya principles coming inside ISKCON, right, and polluting our own consciousness. We can use that karma kandiya attraction to attract the people, initially before they know anything about bhakti, but we have to ourselves rise above it and help everybody else rise above this karma kanda and jnana kanda and just focus on bhakti, and this is how we can reach Krishna, by Sankirtan Yajna, by japa, by reading of Krishna Katha, which is the Katha about Krishna and Katha spoken by Krishna, both Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, by Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is full of it's actually almost like a commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam on its own. If you read it very carefully, you see that the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a life of the living Bhagavata, right? Including the highest possible ecstasies that are beyond our reach. Okay, so I'll quickly summarize and I'll pause here and take any questions or any comments or reflections, right? So we looked at these three verses, 7, 15, 7, 8, 9, where we looked at the 4 regulative principles. We looked at what is envy of other living entities, whether it is thought, word, or deed, right? And we understood what the scripture is enjoining us, which is to rise above inferior religion to the superior religion. We reflected on what it means to be a civilized human being. Civilized human being is one who takes advice, one who takes correction, one who takes, whatever allows them to advance spiritually, they take that. So we looked at the word by word of 759, where karma mayan, resulting in reaction, should not do anything that results in a reaction, because we should understand the purpose of sacrifice, right? So yajna vittama, right? Those who know perfectly the purpose of sacrifice, right? We, without any material desires, we looked at Juhvati Jnana Dipite, and we looked at that particular phrase, Juhvati Jnana Dipite, inside the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 4, 428 has that Juhvati Jnana Dipite, right? We looked at Arjuna's question and answer with Krishna, where he says, what will happen? What will happen? Will I be like a cloud with no destination? Will I be like a dhobi ka kutta, na ghar ka, na ghat ka? Like, what if I don't perfect my bhakti and I have not done anything for my material sense gratification? Will I be somewhere in middle? And Krishna says, no, you don't worry about it. You will continue to advance gradually. Krishna assures us that, right? And then we looked at Srila Prabhupada's quoting of Narottam Thakur's phrase, Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Sakali Vishera Bhanda, right? We talked about that. We looked at, then we looked at the example of Bharat Maharaj, the example of Niga also. Maharaj Niga is there, who gave more cows than there were sands, grains of sand on the planet. Like, there is Bharat Maharaj, there is Maharaj Niga, example of Shukadev Goswami, right? How he came back just to hear the Bhagavatam, he was not interested. We looked at Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. We looked at our own spiritual masters who are all highly capable, but they are only interested, like Rupa Goswami, like Jiva. Just look at all of these great souls. They are more than capable of building empires, like the present fools are trying to do, but they were not interested. They're not interested. I ended the class with noting a warning against karma kandiya vichar within ISKCON, doing a sacrifice for this, doing a chanting for that, material purpose. No, we should not do that. We should preserve the purity of ISKCON by only doing things for the pleasure of Krishna. And we can reach Krishna through Sankirtan Yajna, through chanting japa, through reading the Bhagavatam, through reading Bhagavad Gita, reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, and trying to spread this Krishna consciousness movement in a very pure way. Okay, I'll stop there and I will take any questions, comments, or reflections.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful class. Very, very nicely. You quoted all the shlokas which is related to the verse, and thank you so much for emphasizing that Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda, we should means like it has to be given up in order to progress in bhakti. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji.
And
Beautiful summary. Thank you. I just said thank you for the beautiful summary.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. And devotees, any questions or realizations, please go ahead. And the song you were talking about, Prabhu, like about the human birth, you were saying, so is it Bhaja Mana or some others?
Well, I mean, hints of that will be found in many different bhajans. But the specific one I was looking for was something Janma Hua and Maya Ne Ghera, something like that. It's not Bengali, sorry, it's Hindi. I think it was sung by many of our previous devotees. I've heard that before.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Even I too, I think I also heard before what you said. Like once a human birth has taken birth in this material world, he then gets engaged into this family. Then he goes to study, work, so all those things. I think it will come in that song. Anyways, let me see.
Yeah, something like the words go something like Abke Janam Hua, Maya Ne Ghera, and then all my memory of my previous. So in the canto, yes, Sundara Mataji, yes, Bhulia, yes, that's true. But the one I was thinking about is different. I'm not able to recollect it, but yes, I'm so happy that all the devotees have remembered the different kinds of bhajans. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for making us to remember in that ways, at least. So we see one raise hand. Param Pavani Shyama Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you
Hare
so
Krishna,
much for the beautiful class. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you for providing the opportunity to ask question. Prabhuji, so you mentioned the example of Bharat Maharaj that when he born as a Brahman son and
Yeah.
he acted as Jada, and
Hmm.
how we can apply this, like how we can walk in his footsteps in our
Yeah, it's a
daily
great question.
life.
The question is, Maharaj Bharat, when he appeared in a Brahman family, was not interested in learning the Brahminical methods because he just wanted to avoid getting into the Karma Kanda and the Jnana Kanda that comes in being born in such a family. So he actually acted very foolish. He acted very foolish, Jada. So his father tried very hard, but he could not. He did not even try to preserve any kind of self-respect for himself when his brothers were mistreating him. He would just accept it as Krishna's arrangement for himself. So how we can follow that? So we can follow that by not engaging unnecessarily in social interactions. So in our world, people like to get together. People like to appear knowledgeable about politics and about economics and about cricket and about this and that. People like to crack jokes. People like to do all of these different kind of materialistic activities. To some extent, it might be required to the level of our own Krishna consciousness, like we are not necessarily fully Krishna conscious. So it might be required for us to do such kinds of things, but we should try to minimize that, minimize the unnecessary chitter chatter, right? And sometimes very advanced souls, when they see those kinds of interactions happening, they just cut it. My Guru Mata especially, when she sees people getting distracted or carried away or engaging in any kind of improper association, she just immediately cuts it off. And people who can understand why she's doing that will appreciate such a behavior. But there are others who might consider such a person to be rude, but actually it's not the case. So how we can do it is, like, if we are in workplace, we don't have to participate heavily in all the social activities, right? We don't have to, comment on every single photo or whatever is happening. We can see how we are projecting ourselves on Facebook, for example, how we are interacting with the world, and try to protect our own Krishna consciousness, because it's very easy to get distracted, by someone who is distracted themselves, whether they're talking about their kid or whether they're talking about their family members, they're talking about some arcane technical thing. We have to be careful to protect our Krishna consciousness. So in that regard, people might regard us as being foolish or stupid, that we are not aware of these kinds of things, that, oh, he doesn't know anything about politics. What's the point talking to that fellow, right? It's okay to be known like that, right? So, many devotees are in such situations that when they go into their family gatherings, their family treats them as fools. And the devotee is fine. They don't care. They want to protect their Krishna consciousness. They don't require anybody else's approval, anybody else's admiration, etc. Does that help, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, that is very helpful. And Prabhuji, can I ask one follow-up question?
Whoever is managing the flow of questions, not me.
Yeah, I can go ahead, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mataji. Prabhuji, I like it's like I'm really seeking some guidance. Like as you told that, as a devotee, we should not mingle with some political or some social thing, and to protect our Krishna consciousness. So, like in my work situation, when I try to avoid like this kind of social gatherings where people just talk different things, use bad words, and like many things. So I do try to avoid those, and but
Very
it
good.
actually backfires me in the way that the other like others members like don't, and sometimes they think like that like I'm just I'm not having any intelligence like to be in that society, and like and that sometimes troubles me because I am not in that level to ignore everything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
So
how to
Mataji,
deal?
yeah. So I'll tell you what. So we all have some certain needs. We have certain physical needs. We have certain mental needs. Certain emotional needs. We have these kinds of needs. But what we can decide is where we are going to get those needs fulfilled from. So, for example, yes, I can understand that everybody wants to be known as a smart, intelligent, or whatever kind of person. Especially if I'm in material consciousness, then I will feel like that. So instead of trying to get that kind of validation from non-devotees, we should try to get that same kind of association and validation from devotees. So we should. Why are you going to your workplace? You're not going there to make friendships. You're going there to pay your rent. Correct? You're not going there to get anything else from them. So in other words, we should see that I have this need, and this need should be fulfilled with association with the devotees. This need should be fulfilled, for example, by book distribution. Go out there and try to convince someone to take a book. It's a lot of hard work sometimes because people are very covered up with the modes of material nature. That we can try to do. But in the meantime, you can show some flashes, like that famous story of Narad Muni and the snake. It's just show some flashes. That's true. And ultimately, you're at the workplace to work, So do such a kind of work that there is no complaint against it, and that people are like, oh, this person is like, if we are not careful, we might lose our jobs to this person. They should fear you in that regard. You should be afraid that you are so effective and efficient, and you're so amazing at your work. Of course, you have to do it intelligently. You have to be very smart about it, but you don't necessarily you show it where it's required. Speak where speaking is required. I hope that helps. Ultimately, like these personal kinds of things, you need to have a local mentor, someone in your community, someone in your society who you're close to and who you can look up to and trust, and that person who is confidential and doesn't spread these kinds of things to everybody else, and you discuss this with that person. Find a Mataji who is experienced in the workplace, right, who is a devotee, right, and then ask them about specific situations. You can say, in this situation, what should I do? In this situation, what should I do? And gradually, you will be able to manage on your own, and you'll be also able to help other devotees. I had a similar experience in 2008, 2009 when I had gone to New Vrindavan, and at that point in time, I was the CEO of my own company. I had a software company back then, and which I sold in 2011. But at that point in time, I met I would say a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, even though Srila Prabhupada did not change his name. His name was Peter Burwash. He was a very famous tennis player, Davis Cup tennis player in the material world. Srila Prabhupada had told him to retain that fame. So he coached many great tennis players like Serena Williams, Venus Williams, like many great people. And he had a special thing that if you break the regulative principles while you are engaged in my coaching academy, I will fire you. Like I will expel you. Like no drinking, no meat eating. Like that was his rule. So he spoke about that in New Vrindavan in a session. He used to give. He's passed away recently, but so unfortunately we don't have his physical association anymore. But I can say that Peter Burwash Prabhu helped me to get past these kinds of things, because I was asking him, how do I go to a meeting and not eat, whatever they're eating, or how do I? The restaurant doesn't have anything for me, and he gave me advice. He says, my doctor has today advised me to only drink water, so I'm going to drink water today at this lunch today, and they'll respect it, and it has worked out. Nobody ever in the business world has complained that they might not include me in all of their activities, but that's fine. I don't want to be included in those activities anyway. Okay, but I think you should take guidance from someone local, someone close to you in your community, and proceed in that way. Okay, because you cannot disclose everything in this public forum, isn't it?
Yes, Prabhuji, that's great response. And yes, I have a mentor, Mataji, and that's a great
Yes,
advice, Prabhuji.
that's it.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
get closer to your mentor. Develop strong relationships with your mentor.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful reply. As said, yes, actually being in Krishna conscious is like abnormal in this material world to the people, mundane people, but which they do not know that it is normal. So being like them, singing, dancing, going to pub, that is normal. So that's really very big struggle. As you said, it's like we have to prove ourselves every moment. It's like that to these people. So otherwise they start to criticize. So that's happening every moment. So okay, so we have one hand raised, Hemangi Gopeshwari Mataji.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, wonderful class. I just have a question. This is always asked about envy. I'm definitely an envious person, I know. In terms of like when we are interacting with devotees, I always think of it like rather than competing, to keep them as an inspiration. So that kind of helps. But in general, when we are walking around in material life or workplace, how to kind of change it into something so that it's not envy.
Yeah, so Srila Prabhupada has answered that question. He has said that all of us have these negative tendencies, right? Like anger, envy, lust, anger, greed, etc., right? So we have these. So Srila Prabhupada said, don't try to suppress them. Srila Prabhupada said, sublimate them. In other words, try to figure out how you can use that in the service of Krishna. So it may not even be done in a pure way. Right? So Srila Prabhupada, for example, encouraged heavy competition among the book distribution, the different temples, etc. Right? Why did he do that? Because he was dealing with young men. Young men are like the most competitive people, at that certain age, in their 20s and 30s. They're very super competitive people. And you have to engage that competitive nature in the service of Krishna. So, but when you see the same young men who are distributing books in a very competitive fashion in their youth, today, they don't really care about being number one or number two or anything like that. They don't care about those things. They just care about distributing books. And now they know, you take all the great book distributors, right? They know what competitive spirit does to the young devotees. So they encourage that competition among the devotees, right? So there is competition among pujaris. Oh, I dressed in this way, so beautiful. Oh, you are dressing in that way. I will dress in that way. There's competition between the cooks. Some cook says, I have prepared 12 items for Krishna's breakfast today. And somebody says, I have prepared 16 items for Krishna's breakfast today, right? But who benefits from that, right? The devotee benefits from that kind of competition because they are serving more, they are serving intensely, they're serving intently. So this is all in devotional context. And of course, the devotees get amazing prasadam afterwards, right? All of the other devotees. So it's very good for the community because it attracts everybody because it's a very nice, beautiful, opulent service to Krishna. Now, in the non-devotee community, we can sublimate that by actually being super cutthroat in our work, right? When I go to my work, I am not going there to take any prisoners, right? I am going there to win because I don't want to, I don't want to win necessarily for myself, but I know that I have that competitive streak. So I go there to, I speak honestly, I speak straightforward. Like I go with Tilak, right? And there were one fellow named Tom many years ago was like, hey, what's that on your forehead? You forgot to wipe off your lotion. Or, he was even more insulting than that. And I said, and Tom is like a 6 foot, big football kind of guy. And I said, Tom, just be careful who you're talking to, because that's war paint. You watch out, right? And he didn't bother me from after that, right? So you have to be, you have to deal with situations like with devotees. You have to be very soft. You have to be very kind. You have to be very, we want to be very loving, but according to the level of their purity. So you can only be fully open to the devotee is fully non-envious. And you see that our spiritual masters, because they are non-envious, they attract so many devotees to follow them, right? But outside in the world, we got to be business. We got to be in business. If you're going there to do some work, then do it, and do it so well, so amazing that my spiritual master Sankarshan Prabhu has a story. He used to wear tilak every day, and he had attended Mangalarti every day. He has attended Mangalarti every day for 50 plus years. So even when he's sick, he attends Mangalarti, which I experienced personally. He has never missed it. So in once when he was applying for a job, just after his seniors told him to get married, so he got married, became from Grahastha, from a brahmachari. Now he has to maintain his wife. How does he do it? He has to get a job. So he put a thing. He hid his kantimala. He hid it, and he wiped off his tilak basically, and went to work dressed in a in a tie. Put on a tie, a suit, like I went to work. Got the job, started selling. He did that for a few days, and then he got, he said his principle is, I am tilak, tilak is me. That's what he says, right? So he applied full tilak, full Vaishnav tilak, and he went in there, with his kantimala showing and all of that stuff. And he was a salesman, so he was selling long distance phone plans, and he sold so much on that day, and it was crazy that his supervisor, he says, whatever you whatever is that, I don't know what is that on your forehead, but whatever it is, you've got to put it on every day. So supervisor recognized that the moment this person does really well, meets their targets, then I'm going to make a solid commission, because the supervisor always makes his commission based on their subordinates' performance, right? So when you go out there, you just go out there and compete hard. Don't Arjuna and Hanuman are our role models. Like don't be passive. Like just go out there and win at whatever you're doing. I don't know what is your profession. I don't know what is your work thing, but aim for excellence in that.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very inspirational. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for sharing your Guru Maharaj's experience also. So that's how Krishna always comes for rescue. So we can say in that ways, even though devotees are criticized, actually they are thrown out to a corner, but still Krishna is there. We have that hope. He will come, and he will protect us.
No doubt.
Yes,
no doubt.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Actually, that is hope giving also.
Yeah, so, actually the advice that Peter Vervosh Prabhu gave me, I apply it to this day. I don't make any apologies for my practices. I say to people, even Radhika Raman Prabhu after that, son of Mother Arudha, disciple of Gopal Krishna Maharaj, is a wonderful, amazing. He did his PhD when he was 25 years old or something like that. 21 years old. I don't know how old he was. He was a child prodigy. So brought up with reading the Bhagavatam in Boise, Idaho. His parents ran a ISKCON center, and these boys, Radhika Raman and I don't know younger brother's name, but both of them are PhDs at the age of 21, basically. They're both professors working in the US. So Radhika Raman Prabhu, he calls the restaurant ahead of time and he says, I'm a Vaishnava. I don't eat food cooked in a kitchen where meat is cooked. What can you make for me? Right? And then they make some deluxe salad or something like that, like special with fresh gloves and everything, because he has to eat something outside. And then all his colleagues are like, I want what he's having. So we don't apologize for our practices. We don't say, I'm sorry. Like, we don't say that. I don't eat this stuff. This is not food to me.
Yes.
That's it. Be very clear and honest about it. This is not food. I don't do this stuff. I don't participate in this lucky draw because it's against my principle to gamble. Like, I say it clearly, openly. I'm not going out watching this movie because it has all these crazy scenes that is going to destroy my consciousness.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And actually, the prasadam which we do in ISKCON is really very tasty, actually.
Exactly.
It not only nourishes our hunger, it gives, it nourishes the taste buds also.
100%.
Good thank to
100%.
Srila
Thank you.
Prabhupada for this.
Thank you very
So
much.
thank you so much, Prabhuji. We don't have any hand raise or questions in the chat box. So with your permission, we can end the call here. Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much
much.
for giving us your valuable time and association, and we want your association in future. And thank you for
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa
Panchakalpatarubhyascha
sindhubhyascha
कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च
पतितानां
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनन्तकोटि वैष्णवेभ्यो
Jai
नमः
Shri
प्रभुपाद की
Prabhupada
जय श्रीमद्
Jai.
भागवतम की जय
Mahabhagavat Prabhuji
हरे
की
कृष्ण
जय.
प्रभुपाद की जय
जय
अंतरा श्रीमद्
प्रभु
भागवतम की
की
जय
जय